What's up, Kerbal Knots? It's NOELonPC, head of the Experimental Research Division here at the Kerbal Space Program, and today we are playing Day 19 of Kerbal Space Program's Career Mode. You may remember the space plane. I have de-spacified it, and it is now just a gigantic plane. We have far too many engines for what we're going to do today, so I've set up a macro key to shut off 4 of them once we get up to height. Now the objective, we're going to take off, we're going to run around and behind the dark side, and then we're going to try and catch up and land at Cape Canaveral. So sort of a circumnavigation, if you will, from point to point. It should go swimmingly, I presume. The only problem is it's just going to take a really long time. There we go. All right, we are up. Stage 1 of our multi-stage adventure. Takeoff. Achieved. Now we just got to climb up to about 5,000 or 6,000 meters, and then we're going to try and level off. I can't do any fast forward, or the craft will. As if you play the game, you know full well what happens. The craft just separates for the most part. It doesn't like to be fast forwarded with this many parts. So I'm just going to sort of let it do its own thing for the most part. But like I said, we're going to get up to speed, we're going to get up to height. And actually, probably the sooner we get to height, the better. Because if we can get up to where the air is kind of thin, we're going to be able to just haul ass. We have to keep making little course corrections to make sure we're staying on the same trajectory. I want to stay at 90 degrees, so when we come around, because we are right at the equator, so when we come around again, hopefully we'll be pretty much in line to do a pretty safe landing. Yeah, I'm going to stay hopeful with that we'll actually be able to land this. Worst case scenario, I have parachutes, so as long as we can get, near the Kerbal Space Program, I'll consider it a victory. Pretty much anywhere in this plateau here, behind us. Anywhere between Cape Canaveral and those mountain ranges. The Cascadias, the Kerbcadias. Yes, okay. So air is already starting to thin out quite a bit. So I'm going to flatten out. We're going to hang out up here at 10,000 meters. Again, I don't want to be losing altitude. I want to be holding just at 10,000 meters. And then I am literally just going to walk away from the computer, come back in like a half an hour, and see what happens. Because I honestly don't know what will happen. Okay, I'm going to turn off all but one on each side. So the speed drops away dramatically. But we're conserving a ton of fuel. Because that takeoff used 200, 180 roughly, 170, 60 something, of our 1,750 fuel. So if we burned all the motors the whole way, we wouldn't actually have enough fuel to circumnavigate. As it stands right now, we do not have enough fuel to circumnavigate. Now I'm lowering my altitude somewhat intentionally. 10,000 meters was far too high for what we want to do. But at some point here, we're going to stop decelerating. There we go. Well, we're not losing height anymore. So now it's just going to be a fine balance of keeping an eye on that little yellow line on the gyroscope. Trying to keep it as close to the horizon as we can. We don't want to be gaining altitude because then we're going to be losing air volume And if we lose air volume, we're going to lose thrust on our air-breathing motors. So it's basically a fine balance of trying not to gain altitude and trying to gain speed. Because the more speed we get, the more volume of actual oxygen we're going to be able to jam into that air-breathing engine. So the faster we go, the faster we can go. Again, we're still gaining altitude. I don't like that. It's a good problem to have, I guess, as far as aeronautics are concerned. Going too high, I guess, is pretty cool, especially when you're shooting for the stars. So I think I seem to have found the happy medium, about 130 meters a second. Seems to just barely lose a little bit of altitude. If I pitch the nose up a little bit, we'll definitely start gaining altitude again. There we go. It's just very tricky to get that balance, to find that sweet spot where it's not actually going to go up or down. So basically it's going to take me visually babysitting this thing. Let's see where we are. How far have we gone in 5 minutes? So we can go about a unit, a degree of longitude or latitude or whatever the hell that's called. And we've got quite a bit more. So it's going to be at least an hour and a half. Well, fuck. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you know the drill. Movie magic. And hopefully we'll just sort of come around in line and we can just put her down and not have to use the parachutes. It would be nice to actually land this craft instead of crash this craft. So let's see what happens. Movie magic. All right, so I suspect those mountains ahead are actually the mountains that are just behind the Kerbal Space Program. Cape Canaveral. Yeah, I think those mountains are the mountains we see ahead of us. Okay, 2 hours, 11 minutes later, almost the entire way into the dark side. I doubt we'll land in the light, but I think we made it. We basically made it. I can parachute in, worst case scenario, and we have tons of fuel left. We have more than enough, I think, to throttle down, turn all the engines back on, and then fire it all back up. Wicked. All right. I mean, even if we run out of fuel, we can definitely coast in. We are close enough that we should definitely make it. So what I did was sort of I guess like leapfrogging. I would turn the 4 engines on, get a little bit of speed, get a little bit of height up to, so I'd sort of poke up into, not space, but I'd poke up a little bit, 15, 16, 17,000 meters, and then sort of coast down to about 10, and then put the engines on, coast back up. So on the coast down, I was able to use no engines and just sort of coast in. Not a super steep angle, but enough to keep a good pace going. This is a really heavy craft, so luckily point the nose down and it really wants to accelerate. It wants to go down. Actually, we're doing right now kind of what I did. Then I'd sort of taper off like this and cut the engine and just sort of coast in. But we're going to keep the engine on because we have fuel to burn, and I want to get to that spaceport. Oh, there's the little yellow dot for it. We want to get to that spaceport before dark. So we've got full throttle, tons of fuel, very little air going in, but it's still daytime. That's a victory. Where's the sun? Okay, so it looks like we have quite a bit of light left. Probably another half an hour or so. So we're okay in the light department. It's just going to be that pesky fuel department. I am going to cut 2 engines. There we go. Because it turns out we didn't really have enough fuel to do that. get the nose up a little bit because we want to clear. We want to clear this mountain. We don't want to be like the like one of those movies where they all get stranded on the hillside because of a plane crash and they have to eat each other. Can't remember what that movie was called. Bad movie. Bad movie. Yeah, things are looking good. Things are looking juicy. What's our time? 2 hours, 15 minutes. All of which I had to pay attention to. There is no babysitting a plane when you're doing this, because I'd look away for like 30 seconds and the thing would be at like 20,000 feet choking out of air and it's like about to start spinning. You can't look away. You basically have to babysit it for 2 hours if you want to do this circumnavigation. But I've never seen anybody do this, sort of go around the equator like that, like a race the sun kind of thing. So I'm, I guess, setting the time, setting the bar for you guys to beat. And of course you're gonna have no problem doing that. Like this craft was not built for speed in any way, shape, or form. It wasn't even really built for efficiency in any way, shape, or form. I accidentally took all of our oxidizer weight with us. Yeah. That's how bad I fucked this up. I know you guys can beat this. I have a feeling that you guys could probably do it in like an hour. But the rule, of course, is no space. You gotta stay in those blue bars. You gotta stay in the atmosphere. You know, under 20,000 meters kind of thing. You gotta be a plane. Yes. The bar has been set. Challenge accepted. What I'm gonna have to do here is turn on all the motors and gain a bunch of height. And then when the fuel runs out, because it's going to, we're at like, we've got 70 liquid fuel left. When that runs out, we're going to coast in. Hopefully with all this speed we're building up here. Yeah, if I hadn't have taken all that oxidizer weight, we'd probably be doing, in my guess, a lot better. So far, so good. Looks like we're going to make it. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to make it. We still got 25 fuel left. So I could even, like, cut it off here. Oh, it's already starting to choke up. Okay, we're about to sputter out. We got 9, 6, 3, 2, 1. Dead in the water. Alright, so now we have to coast in, keeping just enough speed to make it. As close as possible to the space program. It would be really nice to land, but as it stands right now, we might just make it. As long as no weird, unforeseen factors occur. Because that little yellow dot on the gyroscope, or the yellow circle and our pink circle, are basically overlapped. That means we should get to Cape Canaveral as long as nothing changes. That's why I'm not pressing anything. I'm not making any course adjustments until we're a lot closer, because I don't want to start unnecessarily shedding speed, or that yellow circle is going to start dropping down below the pink dot, and then we're fucked. Then we're totally fucked. This is kind of nerve-wracking, because I only have one shot at this. There's no saves in Spaceplane. That's another thing that really sucked about doing this, was I couldn't really take my eyes off it. I wanted to walk away and, you know, go take a piss or grab a drink, but I couldn't, because I knew the second I look away, I'm going to crash, and I'm going to have to start all over again from scratch. And as you guys know, I don't edit the crap out of these things. I play the game, I start the recording, and if it doesn't work, I restart. It's a pain in the ass. So I like to get things right the first time. Now we're doing great. We're carrying a lot of speed as well. We've got a lot of lift in this craft. There's so much wing that it hauls ass. It's a great little craft. Now we want to touch the runway in the 70-60 neighborhood, optimally. But I'll take whatever I can get. If the wheels have to go down at 90 or something like that, that's fine. That's fine. But like I said, optimally, so the craft actually stays on course. I'm gonna lock the steering, because that always causes a problem. You're trying to make pitch yaw corrections and a wheel is pitching left and right with all your corrections. That's a recipe for a crash. Coming in at an okay angle. Wish I had a little more speed. We actually were gaining speed because of the need for this quick descent. And we're coming really nicely online. I'm going to turn the brakes on now because I'm going to float this thing in like a butterfly. This is really nice. This is kind of a textbook landing. I mean, this is really how you want this to go. Like, this is how they would teach you to do it at the space program. Awesome. Let's get little Bob out. There we go. So guys, I hope you liked our little adventure. For some reason the time reset when I got out, so I wasn't able to check, but I'll put the time up at the end here. So I hope you liked the video. I hope you try and break my record. If you do, upload it, send me the link. I'll give you a shout out. And I hope it starts a little competition with you guys, where a few of you are uploading videos and I'm, redirecting links to them in future videos and showing sort of how the progress of this little contest is going. I really look forward to it. So guys, until next time, you know the drill. Follow the drop down, give me a sub, give me a like, give me a $5, give me $1, give me a bag of Lay's potato chips. I hate ketchup chips, by the way. Guys, until next time, cheers.